Could this be the craziest offseason in NFL history? Adam Schefter shared some thoughts that we got to talk about on today's show. Before we do that, though, if you want the Giants to make a blockbuster trade this offseason to improve the roster to win some games next year, hit that thumbs up icon right now. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we react to what Adam Schefter, lead NFL insider for ESPN, had to say when he said teams across the NFL consider the draft and free agency to be a little subpar this year, which says it could lead to an uptick in trades across the league. Also saying some NFL teams are pushing for trades to extend 5 years of drafts, meaning right now the New York Giants could theoretically only offer 3 first-round picks in a trade, 2026, 2027, and 2028. This right here would allow them then the opportunity to trade the 2029 first-round pick as well as the 2030 first-round pick. So you can go 5 years in advance. That would open up the floodgates, in my opinion, for some big-time moves this offseason. Schefter said this on his podcast, quote, "We got a free agency class. That's not that deep. We got a draft. That's not considered real deep." You know what that tells me? It tells me that we may get more wheeling and dealing in trades than we've had in other years. It seems to be a trend in recent years that teams are unafraid to make big deals. And we've seen Joe Schoen do that. Made a big-time deal by acquiring Brian Burns in the free agency cycle of 2025. 2024. He's played 2024 season, 2025. So the 2024 free agency cycle, he trades a second and a fifth-round pick to go and get Brian Burns. We've also seen him make a big deal where he traded a third-round pick for Darren Waller, and we've seen him trade players on this team as well, Kadarius Toney for a third and a sixth-round pick. And even when we get close to the NFL season starting, we've seen Joe Schoen be active on the trade market for guys like Isaiah Simmons and Boogie Basham. So Joe Schoen, he is not afraid to go out and make a big-time deal. And when you look at this roster, you could see them go out and attack some positions of need through the NFL trade market. Maybe a defensive tackle. We'll talk about some blockbuster trade targets on today's show. I'm not sure you want to make a big trade for an inside linebacker, but you got to fill that position. The right side of your offensive line. What are you going to do with Greg Van Roten at right guard? And what are you going to do with Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle? Your secondary, the outside corners, either of the safety spots, in my opinion, could be improved. Hopefully, Javon Holland here with the new defensive coordinator could take a step. And you also need more offensive playmakers. You could never have too many of those guys. And why I think this directly impacts the New York Giants is because they're ready to win right now. Joe Schoen kind of has to win right now. And John Harbaugh came here to win games this year. He doesn't lose football games. And with him being 63 years old, he knows the time to punch their tickets to the dance to actually go and play meaningful football games. They have to make trades potentially and make big-time moves to improve this roster. You don't hire a 63-year-old John Harbaugh to sit on your hands and tear it down. It is now time for the Giants to actually push their chips to the table and go compete. You look at the draft picks that Big Blue has right now. Due to that trade up back into the first round last year for Jackson Dart, you don't have a third-round pick. So you have just 2 selections inside the top 104. You're then back on the clock with pick 105 in round 4. You have a 5th-round pick and then 3 6th-round picks. So not that many priority picks for the New York Giants, which could maybe make you more interested in making trades or less interested in making trades. You still have the 2027 as well as the 2028 draft picks to trade if you want, and maybe that opens up to 2029 and 2030 like Adam Schefter mentioned. Let's talk about a position of need, defensive tackle. Jefferey Simmons for the Tennessee Titans, coached by your now defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, who was his defensive coordinator for the last 2 seasons. It seems like for the last 3 seasons, though, Simmons has had trade rumors buzzing around his name. Does he want to be in Tennessee? He's approaching 29 years old. I'm not sure that Tennessee is on the fast track to competing. And I'm sure Titans fans would say the exact same thing about the Giants. But if Simmons is available and Simmons wants out of Tennessee, you need Joe Schoen or John Harbaugh to pick up that phone and call the Titans. Could you imagine a defensive line with Dexter Lawrence, Jeffery Simmons, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, if he is still on this team? If the Giants were to make any blockbuster deals for guys that we think are available right now, remember, players always become available that we don't know about. Simmons, if he is available, which I think he might be, not 100% sure, the 28-year-old defensive tackle who will be 29 by the time the season starts, he is very high on my list. Keep your eyes on Marlon Humphrey as well. Played his entire career for the Baltimore Ravens under John Harbaugh. What is that relationship like? We don't really know at this point, but there is some chatter that his time as a Raven could be coming to a close. If they cut or release him, they can save almost $8 million. And with him not playing that great of football in 2025, his Pro Football Focus coverage grades of corners who got starter amount of snaps was actually the worst in the National Football League. Whereas in 2024, he was the 5th best. And in 2022, he was the 11th best. So if John Harbaugh thinks there is still quality football to be played for Marlon Humphrey, don't be surprised if they pick up the phone and either go and trade for him, and then if he is cut and there is no trade, I think the Giants would be severely interested in that. You enter the season with Humphrey and Paulson Adebo. That's a much better starting point than you've had at CB1 and CB2 in quite some time. We're going to talk about some more trade candidates the Giants can go and target, and then some players on their roster that other teams are going to target. First, though, I got to give a huge shout-out to our sponsor of today's show, and that is GLD. Let's be real. Buying men's jewelry used to be a nightmare. You were looking for something meaningful that wouldn't fall apart, and it was tough. That's where GLD comes into the equation. It was a lot of low-quality junk that snapped after a week, or it was insanely overpriced with ridiculous markups. That's not GLD, and that's why I rock with them. And you can too, with 50% off when you use promo code CHAT. You're getting quality pieces that are built to last without breaking the bank. And unlike a lot of other companies, GLD only uses real gold, none of that cheap stuff. What I love about GLD is that every single stone is meticulously hand set, and every single piece is guaranteed for life. Shout out to GLD. They sent me this awesome chain with this beautiful New York Knicks pendant. If you're a Knicks fan, you're in luck. And you're a Giants fan watching this show, you are also in luck because GLD has an official collab with the NFL, NBA, WNBA, MLB, NCAA, MLS, and even DC Comics. Chains and pendants that let you rep what you love. Work hard and change the game. Right now, GLD is making it so easy for you. For a limited time, new customers get an insane deal. Use that code CHAT and get 50% off at GLD.com. That's 50% off with code CHAT at GLD.com. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. At the trade deadline, there was a lot of chatter about Jaylen Waddle being someone that the Giants were very interested in. You have to wonder if Joe Schoen, John Harbaugh, whoever is running the Giants front office, is going to pick the phone up again and call Miami, who now has new leadership in their building. Could they look to recreate what that football team looks like? Look, the Giants showed that they were really interested. It was well documented, and they sent some pretty serious offers, to my knowledge, to the Miami Dolphins. And Jaylen Waddle, still at 27 years old, the prime of his career is right in front of him. 910 yards last year in 16 games played. That's with Tua. That's with a bunch of quarterbacks that played for Miami last year. If you could put a wide receiver pairing of Malik Neighbors and Jaylen Waddle as your 1-2 punch for the next 3 or 4 years, Jackson Dart is going to be very thankful for that. Another wide receiver that appears to be on the trade market is DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears. He has a big contract right now. And talking to my guy Harrison Graham, he actually mentioned to me that Moore could be someone that is available, and he thinks the Giants should be interested in him. Probably his worst year in the NFL this year. Played in all 17 games, only had 50 grabs for 682 yards and 6 touchdowns. But he had some big-time catches in some big-time moments. Go and ask the Green Bay Packers. He beat them twice with game-sealing catches. But look at 2024 and 2023. 90-plus grabs, more than 950 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns in those 2 seasons. And what I like about him is 17 games played, 17 games played, 17 games played, 17 games played. He does not miss time. he and Caleb Williams' relationship, I don't know if it's the best in the world, but man, DJ Moore would be a heck of a wide receiver too, alongside Neighbors, someone that Dart could build with. Joe Schoen probably has great inside information on Moore due to his relationship with the general manager and front office in Carolina, who he came from prior to going to the Bears. So if those are green check marks for him, don't be shocked if DJ Moore is someone the Giants are interested in. Some other trade candidates, talking to some people inside the office here at Chat Sports that covers other NFL teams, doing my due diligence and reaching out to people. Elgton Jenkins, the interior offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers, he is someone that has wanted a new contract over the last couple of years, hasn't been able to get it done. They move him to center this year. Doesn't play all that well, but he is a good guard in this league. And with the Giants having question marks there, that could be someone. Cesar Ruiz, I have heard, is someone that is of interest for the New York Giants. If you're looking for a corner, look at a guy like Trent McDuffie. The Kansas City Chiefs are up against the salary cap, and with question marks with Patrick Mahomes and when he could come back next year, maybe they look at this as a gap year and try to get off some money. Riley Moss as well for the Denver Broncos. They have a lot of guys that they got to pay coming up in a couple of years. Riley Moss could be a cap casualty. Dontavian Wicks. There are so many receivers on that Green Bay Packers team. Romeo Doubs is a free agent. I don't see a world where they bring back Doubs and they keep Dontavian Wicks. So keep your eyes on one of those two Green Bay Packer wide receivers. And Patrick Queen, an inside linebacker. Giants could use some more speed at that second level, and it sounds like he could be available for the right price. We've talked about people the Giants could go and trade for. I think there's two guys that teams are going to be calling the Giants to trade for. Keep your eyes on Dexter Lawrence. We know there's no more guaranteed money on his deal. Reports have come out over the last couple of weeks that Dex was furious with his contract that he was on this year. Maybe even some talks that he held himself back a little bit, not trying to get hurt. And obviously the losing took a toll on him. With new leadership here in John Harbaugh, do the Giants keep him around? I think that they should, but it sounds like a new deal is going to have to be going his way. And Kayvon Thibodeau, entering his fifth year in the National Football League. Are the Giants going to re-sign him this time next year? If the answer is yes, keep him around. If the answer is no, you might want to look to trade him, get a second or a third round pick back. Name a player, though, you want the Giants to trade for. We've talked about a handful on today's show. I want to hear from the real ones in the comment section. I didn't want to mention Max Crosby. I didn't want to mention Myles Garrett. I don't think the Giants are going to trade the farm again for another edge rusher. It's one of the few positions they actually do not need at this point. Make sure you are following me on social media, because if the Giants trade for anybody or the Giants have to trade somebody, first spot you'll hear about it is on my Twitter.